So once again, there's Catherine, there's Virginia, his daughter. Yeah. Here's Hubert Bay when he joined up. Here's Hubert Bay when he was getting ready to get out. He served as a military policeman in the United States Army. Here's the newspaper article of the Herald Dispatch where Fatty talks about Alan Hatfield. And let me continue here. On your video a while ago with Rio Hatfield talking to Phoebe Judge, did you notice she said, Rio, tell us about your grandfather, and that he was the last McCoy killed in the feud, or the last Hatfield that killed McCoy. Mm-hmm. And he said, yeah, that was in the Washington Post, May the 22nd or whatever. Well, if you'll go to May the 22nd Washington Post and look it up, which we've got it in our book, you'll find that Rio Hatfield, that story is in the Washington Post. And the author is in our book, and the author got that story in the Washington Post from Rio Hatfield. So while he's trying to redirect like a magician, and over here moving this hand while he's doing magic with the other one, he's telling Phoebe, yeah, that story was in the Washington Post. It was in the Washington Post because he had given the story to the Washington Post. The story came from Rio Hatfield and Darrell Fatty, that Alan Hatfield, right here, his grandfather, was shot in the back 3 times by a McCoy.
And it just so happened to be McCoy.
And just so happened to be a McCoy, when he was never shot in the back, nary time. And where he shot and killed Hubert Bay McCoy in the back of the head after Hubert Bay had punched him. They actually had some words, and he had arrested Hubert Bay's buddy, and Hubert Bay just got out of the Army, and Hubert Bay says, hey, if you're going to take him, you're going to take me. And that's from the Three Musketeers, more or less. That's all for one and one for all, an army of one. That is where he had just come back from war, and he was taken up for his buddy. Friend, yeah. And on their way to jail, Alan Hatfield shoved him, and when he did, Hubert Bay turned around and punched him. Now, this is an old picture. This is after he got out of prison. Right. And this is years later. This is about 1978, 77. I think Alan Hatfield died in 78. And that is just an older picture of him, but he was younger. He was 51 years old, I think, when he shot and killed Hubert Bay. And I think Hubert Bay was 24 maybe. So he's still a big age difference there, but he was nowhere like that there. Here is where the state of West Virginia versus Alan Hatfield. That's out of our book. It's actually out of the West Virginia archives. Yeah. This is where the jury, we the jury, find Alan, the defendant, Alan Hatfield, guilty of involuntary manslaughter. Foreman of the jury. This is Virginia on the bridge again. This is Hubert Bay's grandson, Scott. And that's Virginia. That's her son.
And the day Hubert Bay was killed, Virginia took her first steps.
Yeah.
When she was a child.
Let me have that, and you can talk about Virginia a little bit.
I like Virginia. She's a really sweet lady. We really enjoyed talking to her and getting some pictures and documents from her as well. This is Virginia when she was a baby here. And then, of course, there's her family and different family members there. There is Hubert Bay's grave. There's Fred at Hubert Bay's grave. And there I am at Hubert Bay's gravesite. And here's his death certificate. And over here is him and her when they got married. Hubert Bay and Catherine, yeah.
There's his honorable discharge after serving 3 years in the Army.
Here's a better picture of her on the bridge with.
To come home, get a job in the coal mines, and be murdered by a Hatfield. Now, like that's not bad enough, imagine the family living with the story that their grandfather and their father had shot a police chief in the back, And there's the old tombstone, the first tombstone that was put on Hubert Bay's grave that somebody has destroyed. He was military police in the Army. What am I leaving out, Sheila? There's the funeral flag, 48 stars, of course, at the time, back in the background down there on the wall. 48 stars during the
You're talking
that
about
period.
him getting shot, how he come home and died in the middle of...
Oh yeah, after getting through, there's a gun that Virginia has autographed for us and signed.
She's so sweet.
Yeah, very
She
sweet
said
lady.
that we grow up with the story that her dad was in a brothel.
And never as much as got an apology from the people that has spread the story and continued to spread it until just here recently. And you'll hear on there where, put the camera on me if you would.
Yeah, there you go, your turn.
Let me ask you this. When you're listening to that story, and go back and listen to the radio interview again, and Phoebe Judge asked a very interesting question. She asked him, before he went to his grave with the bullets in him, when we wrote our first book, we sent a copy to him, and after that, the story changed. This was the first time that he had said, well, years later, the bullets started causing him problems. Because in our first book, Sheila and I said, why not let's dig Alan Hatfield up? Let's look in his grave. I've got 3 pins in my back where I got hurt, injured, making an arrest one time. Those 3 pins are going to be in my grave someday. They're not going to leave. So if you've got bullets in you, they're going to be in that grave. We could find them. And we made that notion in our book. Let's dig Alan Hatfield up and let's see if them 3 bullets are there. That was never removed, that he sat on his porch and I'll go down after a while and get them taken out, but he never did, is the first story. And all the stories before. Right. He's been shot anywhere from 3 times to 5 times between him and Fetty, what they say. Now, think about this. All the collection that we have of Hatfield and McCoy stuff, all the collections that other people have got throughout the years, one of the most valuable collections that you could have, an item or an artifact, would be 3 bullets put into a Hatfield by a McCoy, and nobody kept them? No, we lost them. And then he says, but we also lost a ring too. My dad had given him a ring. Well, hold on. Well, here we go with the magician trick again. We're talking about a ring while the left hand over here is doing something else. Let's forget. Let's try to redirect. We're not talking about a ring. Let's talk about these 3 bullets Phoebe asked about. But he quickly evades to another topic. 3 bullets taken out of a McCoy, he says, out of a Hatfield, that was put there by a McCoy, and nobody kept them? Nobody kept them. Does that not seem strange to anybody else? It's strange because there was never 3 bullets in there. In the beginning, like I said, he went to his grave with the bullets, and then when we said, let's dig them up, then magically, they started, when I was a child, they started causing them problems. Okay, well, when he was a child...
I think he said teenager.
Teenager, well, between 13 and 19, let's do the math. That would have been somewhere in the 70s. There'd be medical records of this. There'd be medical insurance payments, hospital bills. Where are they at? Where's these documents out that says that they took 3 bullets out of Alan Hatfield? We don't have the bullets no more. Okay, let's find the medical records. You're not going to find the medical records. There is none. This was a tall tale, started years ago, and it was carried on by Rio Hatfield and Darrell Fetty. Now, the question I have, and it's sad because I don't know the guy personally, but I know that people has went along with his story. Ron McCoy's went along with his story. The Pike County Tourism has gone around with his story. John Scott, the guy that now owns Randall McCoy's house in Wales, gone along with his story. All these people, the Hatfield McCoy miniseries, Darrell Fetty's gone along with the story. Where does it stop? And how honest are these people? If you're in business with these people, if I'll tell you a lie about one thing, I'll lie to you about something else. And I don't want to be so critical here, but I want to explain to you that this lady right here,
Virginia, yeah.
this lady right here was once right here and right there. And she grew up from that age hearing these stories about her father being shot and killed by a police chief because he shot the police chief in the back because he was interrupted while he was getting services in a brothel. It's not true. It's not true, and it's very sad. We've got some sad stories during the Hatfield-McCoy feud, Roseanne's baby,
love affair, yeah.
all these different things that happened to Hatfields and McCoys. But this one here happened in 1947, and it's still, this is 2023. We started doing our research for the book. A lady called us up one night and said that she worked with a lady at UK Hospital that was a nurse, and that she said that she was from up in West Virginia, but she didn't tell a lot of people where she was from. And she said, well, I'm from up that way. What part? And she said, well, my grandfather was from Matewan, West Virginia, but I don't tell a lot of people because he shot a police chief, and they shot and killed him while he was in a brothel. Now, that was a story that she heard growing up and that she lived with. And she didn't tell a lot of people who her grandfather was. Her grandfather, her great-grandfather, was actually Hubert Bay McCoy, who was a World War II hero. This man went to Omaha Beach. He fought all over the Pacific, but Omaha Beach, that very few people survived. Do some research. Watch a YouTube video on Omaha Beach itself, not counting the other places that he served at while he was in the Army in the Pacific. That's famous today. He lived through that. That's our story on Hubert Bay. Like I said, we've got a book. Up here's a calendar. I just happened to look up there and look, but that's 1941, November 1941. And down below it there, of course, is December 1941, which is December the 7th on a Sunday, and that's Pearl Harbor.
I don't think I got the calendar very well, though.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm kind of short.
Oh, okay. Up there it is.
Yeah.
And then there's the bottom part. It's on November. We've never tore off the sheet because that's what it was held on, and we just left it like that.
Yeah.
But underneath there is December, and then December's down at the bottom of the page. But this is the old coal mining stuff that Hubert Bay. This is the old coal mining, what it would have been like back in that day. The old lunch bucket, the methane lamp to see if there's methane gas inside the coal mines. He worked at Red Jacket Coal Company there in Matewan, West Virginia, which is also a famous coal company. During the feud, Hubert Bay was in the 2nd Infantry Division in World War II. Like I said, he served as a military police, and that's his unit coming up Omaha Beach Hill there after they finally took over the beach. It's just so much history in this gentleman, and his life has more or less been disrupted with lies. And here's a story, the Yanks, that Virginia told us about. And it's a movie, and it's about
them coming over to Europe, I believe, and how he had
the story was about the guy that had met his wife in Europe or London or France or somewhere and brought her back to the United States. And that's what happened back in those days. They started bringing these women back from overseas, and
about 13, 14 years.
Okay, she's going to tell me that we're almost out of time. Don't want to, there's a lot of stuff that we're showing you here. There's our 2nd book on Hubert Bay. There's the cover. You can go to fredmccoy.com and see all of our books. There's a lot of stuff that we're showing you here, but there's also a lot of stuff that we're not in the museum. So we hope everybody still visits the museum and looks at the stuff live, but we want to show you some of the things, some of the items, And again, there's Hubert Bay McCoy. That's his first marker that he had on his grave. And it was destroyed. That's in 5, 6 different pieces there. There's the monument that's on his grave today. Virginia and them had another one ordered and replaced the one that was broke. So that's the story on Hubert Bay McCoy. And
come visit us if you like the stories that we're posting. Come to Liberty, Kentucky and visit the museum.
Liberty, Kentucky, Hatfield McCoy Museum, fredmccoy.com. And please share.
Yes,
share.
like and share. Please.
Like, share, subscribe, or whatever it is all these
Whatever
people.
it is. We're new at this, so. Thank
right.
y'all. Bye.